Welcome to Psychic Bent. My name is Carrie.
And I'm Kim. We are two sisters wanting to help other psychics learn and grow in their abilities and to help educate about spirits, angels, and everything psychic.
Okay, welcome back to Psychic Bent. Today we're going to be discussing numerology as one of the tools in the psychic toolbox. And Carrie, why don't you go ahead and start us on that one? I'm going to find this one very interesting because I see numbers all the time, but that may not have anything to do with this. So
yes,
fill me in.
Yeah. What is it? Fill you in. I'm going to try to fill you in and try not to make you go to sleep at the same time on numerology.
Wait a minute.
I've always been fascinated with numbers.
Hold on. I put them to sleep with astrology, so you can only go up from here.
So if you came back after that one, thank you. Is that what I'm supposed to say?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Thanks for coming back. Oh, it's really difficult to, when you're exploring something new, you want to give as much information as possible, but you don't want it to be boring.
Right.
And just some topics are so much easier to discuss than other topics.
Well, that's true.
So some things are a little more easygoing, some aren't. Some are very technical, and it's hard to balance sometimes. So bear with us when we do deep dives into certain topics. It's very difficult to try to be entertaining and informative.
Right.
So here we are at numerology. What I found something really interesting. Before the 20th century, it wasn't called numerology. It was called arithmancy. It's hard to say. Arithmancy.
Interesting. What does that mean?
So I thought that was really interesting. Well, arithmancy is a Greek word. It's derived from two Greek words, but it basically is the study of divination through numbers.
Oh.
And arithmancy dates back to the 1570s.
Interesting.
And numerology isn't recorded in English before 1907.
Oh, wow.
So I thought that was really interesting. I'm like, well, that's something I didn't know.
Right.
Which there's a lot of things I don't know, don't get me wrong, but it's just kind of like, but that's such a arithmancy, it's so close to arithmetic.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I'm just kind of like, oh, but that makes perfect sense.
Right.
But arithmancy. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Things that make you go,
There are many out there.
So, there are many, yes. So, numerology can get very in-depth and confusing too, just like astrology can be. I think numerology is a little easier than astrology. Because it's not so many factors. I mean, it's based on when you were born, just like astrology. But you don't need to have the time of your birth,
okay,
like you would in astrology for your chart.
Mm-hmm.
But numerology is your month, date, and year you were born, and then your name as it was on your birth certificate.
Mm-hmm.
Are components into numerology. Now, numerology has different significant numbers, and they're listed as ranked as importance, if that makes sense. So you have your life path number, which represents the path you'll take in this life. It's the single most important element in your numerological chart, and it should be given the most attention. Life path number describes our life purpose, the main lesson we choose to learn during this lifetime.
Okay.
Then you have your expression or destiny number. It's the second most important number in your chart, and it describes your natural talents, skills, and potential. These are gifts that we should use in the best possible way while we move along in our life path. Then we have the soul urge or heart's desire number, and that describes your inner needs and urges. It's a subtle number, and its traits aren't always visible from the outside. It tells us what we should give to our soul for it to be happy and fulfilled. And yes, there is an attitude number. Some of us have more attitude numbers than others. But the attitude number describes our attitude.
Attitude. Okay.
It's this.
Not aptitude,
Yeah.
but at ATTITUDE or
ATT.
ATT. Okay, got it. Got it. Okay, attitude. All right.
How did you get aptitude out of some of us have more attitude than others? How did you get aptitude out of that?
Well, some people do have more aptitude than others.
Not a common phrase, but okay.
Okay.
So,
sorry.
ATT.
Okay.
The attitude number describes our attitude, the traits we're known for. It gives us strength and drives us to overcome many life circumstances in an easier or more difficult way. If something's not right in your life, first take a look at this number and try to adjust to the potential of your attitude number.
And these are
I'll have
all.
to check out my attitude number.
Now, question: Are these numbers fixed, or do these change per you? I mean, like yours is different than mine, but these are
Because
set?
it's all based on, they're set.
Okay.
They're set, yes.
Okay.
Now you have different numbers for a month. You can have a year number, you can have a month number. That's going to change. You could have a day number. So those numbers change, like your day number is a different number every day and what that number represents. But when it's your fixed, these are your fixed numbers.
Gotcha. Okay.
So your attitude number is your attitude number. It's really interesting how it works out. The day of birth number, let me just go back into this. The day of birth number helps us see what other talents, abilities, and skills we possess. This number has the greatest impact while we are in the most active period of our life. Now, I evidently am no longer in my active period of my life because they use an example 25 to 55 years old.
I'm out of mine too.
The maturity the maturity number refers to the period of maturity and describes what awaits us later in life. If this number already appears in the numerological chart, the lesson in question is one we need to repeat and approach from a different perspective. If this number doesn't appear elsewhere, it represents a new life situation that will bring open-mindedness and new opportunities. There is a personality number that shows what sort of self-image you display to the world. We often consciously, sometimes unconsciously, decide how to present ourselves to the world, what to hide and what to show. Therefore, this number doesn't describe our inner selves, but what is visible from the outside and how others perceive us.
Okay.
And then the generation number tells us in the year we were born, you want to pay attention to illnesses that are distinct for each generation. So I thought that was kind of interesting. So the master number is worthy of respect. Unlike other numbers, the master number carries extremely high levels of potential. This doesn't mean that those who have this personal number will have an easier way of life. What a master number is, not everybody has a master number. Master numbers are numbers that are double, like 11, 22, 33.
Okay.
So that is what a master number is. And not all, I have an app, and I know Kim and I are using the same app for numerology, and it does include master numbers. Evidently not all of them do include master numbers, but because how my date of birth, and I guess it also figures into how many letters are in my name.
Okay.
So my master number is 11. So master numbers are interpreted a little bit differently. You can reduce it. When calculating the numbers in a chart, numerologists don't unanimously agree on certain steps that can influence whether the result is a master number, because you do try to bring your numbers to a single number.
Okay.
So let's say, if you're looking at 2024. So what would your numbers? You have 2 and 2 and 4. So that's 8, right?
Okay.
So that would add up to 8. See how that number came into play? And then but if you take the month number, the date of birth, and that you add it all together, and if you come up with double digits, then you're going to normally break it down. into a single digit.
And how do you break it down?
So let's say if you had 22, 2
Okay.
plus 2 is 4.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So if you,
gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah. So that's how you normally would break it down.
Okay.
So I have, in my own personal chart, my life path is I've got 11 and I have 2. Well, the 2 is 1 plus 1 would be 2.
Okay.
But, once they broke it down to 11, that became, a master number. And what I found interesting if you have a master number is some of the traits that it talked about really made sense in my life. And I'm like, well, oh my gosh. Okay, who knew? But, it just talked about how master numbers are expected to take the first step to go off the beaten track, to lead the masses, leave their mark in humanity. They're destined for great roles. Now, that's not what I meant when may sounded like me. That's just kind of the generalization. Their undertaking should have higher purpose to help humanity in some way. Master numbers are spiritual with the ability to see bigger pictures and what can be accomplished on a goal level. Now, I thought it was kind of more towards me was they have a creativity, strong intuition, cooperation, spirituality. They have the ability to cure others, are associated with the master number 11. This number contains energy of number 2 doubled, along with the master energy of number 11. The goal is to balance the different energies in order to unlock the potential of what the master number can offer. So I thought that was interesting.
That is interesting.
I mean, that happened to be what number 11 is, and there were some personal things in there that really made some sense, but strong intuition is part of number 11.
Right.
People feel comfortable and relaxed in your presence. That seems to be, people seem to be comfortable in my presence.
Oh, yeah, they are.
But it was just kind of interesting, and the creativity. I'm constantly trying to come up with something new and creative, so in my, with my crafts and stuff.
With your crafts and
so
stuff.
A lot of creativity there. Yeah. And with everything, there's always a dark side, like you were talking about with the zodiacs. There's a light and a dark side. It says that the difficult situations in the course of their development, the right way often isn't the easiest, but may be the one that with the most challenges. Many wander off this road and are dragged in the opposite direction. They go through life against the current, standing against what was given to them as the purpose of their existence. Easy choices, which one point seem right, leads them to life of despair, misery, dissatisfaction, and poor health. I'm like, well, okay.
That's it, yes.
And you constantly feel as if you're walking through fire, that what you do is never good enough. You also need to understand that along with the challenges you encounter, you were given potential to overcome them. Your development is reflected in living through as many experiences as possible in order to accumulate experiences and wisdom. It's just really, and this one was just spot on.
Oh, yeah.
Self-criticism, self-doubt, sensitivity to negative comments can easily lead you into falling into a bad state. I take things so personally. I'm just like, okay, this is me.
Yeah.
And it says you need to learn to accept your creative potential. So I just thought it was interesting that, what the master number was. And I'm like going, okay. Check that one. Check that one. Okay, okay. So I just thought it was really interesting.
Yes, definitely. And that does describe you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it was just, I just think I think numerology excites me more than astrology.
I could tell.
Yeah, this numerology app gives you a daily affirmation, and it also breaks down, the forecast cycles. So today is Sunday, right? My number is 2 for today, which I know that this is coming out on a Monday, but we're recording on a Sunday. So this tells me that day number 2 is a day when it would be good to step aside and not make any important decisions. You had your chance yesterday.
Yep.
I was like, wow, okay. If you need to make a decision today, take some advice. If you aren't happy in your relationship, don't make any decisions because you're more vulnerable than usual and see everything dramatically. A number 2 day symbolizes partnership and cooperation in all areas, and therefore you should try to solve all conflicts peacefully. I always try to do that peacefully. I don't like arguments.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you will realize that you're strengthened your relationship with others. If you don't take this advice, there may be many problems and the necessity to repeat some actions several times. And you might find yourself in a subordinate position. Let the day lead you and don't force certain events. Be careful with money.
There you go.
And then it tells you colors that might make you feel good wearing, feel great wearing, and then it recommends crystals to wear. And it has recommended a clear quartz every single day. I'm like, okay.
So has mine.
Yeah. So I just thought that was interesting. And of course, there's a yearly forecast, and then there's the monthly forecast. And each one has, so the month is for July is number 4 for me. And then the year is...
Mine's number 8 for July for me.
Okay. What's your yearly?
My yearly is 1.
So I have 2 numbers on my yearly. I've got 6 and I have 8.
Yeah, but you have a master number as well. You've got the master.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. So I'm assuming that's why you have 2.
I assume that is. I don't know.
Oh, 1, 8, yeah.
You have 2?
Yeah, when I click on the yearly, it does say 1, and then there's the looks like the Earth, and it has 8 behind it.
So I just found that the whole numerology aspect was very interesting. And there's angel numbers. We experience angel numbers quite a bit where you're seeing repetitive numbers like 11, 111, 222, 333. So I just thought that was pretty interesting as well. But I don't want to get so involved with deep diving into numerology. I just found it very interesting. I did see where they gave numbers to letters. It's called a Grippin method, where like A is number 1, B is 2, C is 3, and it goes to 10 to K. So A through K is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then L is 20, M is 30, N is 40, and it just kind of jumps. So it's kind of interesting how the different methods, and it's like, how did they come up with this?
Yeah.
It just really amazes me when people how people come up with these things, and just like when we were talking about tarot and how it was a playing cards, and then that became a divination tool. It's just really interesting how people come up with the numerology and how it does make sense.
Yeah, that's what is so amazing.
I mean, haven't you found yours on the... Because, we were talking offline about how I have all these special orders I have to get done for someone I'm wholesaling to, some laser stuff. And you're like, well, I guess you want to get on that? I'm like, no, I'd already read this. I'm like, no, I'm not I'm not doing anything today. It's just like... It's told me not to do anything, so I'm not going to do anything today. And yesterday I was having trouble with, nonstop issues with the laser, trying to get stuff done. So I'm like, okay, I could see what I'm supposed to do today, because obviously not this.
Right. Yeah, I've run across that as well, how things line up like that, Yeah, I had the one the other day that said, "Do not make any decisions today." I went, "Okay, I shall not make
Yeah.
any decisions today." So,
And I was looking at the yearly. Of course, when I downloaded the app, of course, before I did that, I read all the reviews because I didn't want to download something and then just have to turn it and delete it. Because I did that with an astrology app, and I'm like, okay, let's research the numerology one a little bit more before I download the app. And I've been very happy with this app. And it's just called Numerology. It's got a little colorful pyramid for its little icon. But the year 2024, 6 and 8. Okay. Now, the number 6 is filled with responsibilities which you are expected to comply with. Start solving problematic situations in your life. If you're in a happy relationship, get married. If you're not in a happy relationship, get divorced. Don't stay trapped in a union that isn't working. Yeah. So I thought that was interesting because not all of it's going to pertain to you. But I thought, well, okay. And then it also says that you should use this year to establish a harmonious relationship with your loved ones. So that could be family, it could be friends, whatever. It doesn't necessarily mean romantic. Some will seek advice. Others may involve you in their emotional problems. Yeah, got that.
yeah.
Family problems or attempt to force you to take so it's this is funny. It says you'll have to take responsibility for an elderly family member.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, that happened.
Yeah. That happened.
Happily.
Exactly.
Took care of Dad. Yeah. So I'm like, well, okay.
Yes.
And this is a good year to clean up your karma.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So I have been doing that, which Kim and I have talked about that offline, of different things that I'm doing because everybody has karma.
Yeah, definitely.
And so you kind of have to. Is it painful to take a look at your past and things you've done? Yeah, but that's how you grow. And I have reached out to people and just kind of like, how a relationship ended was not really the way, it wasn't, I guess you could say the grown-up way to do it. That fight or flight mode that you get into, and I had to address that, which I felt so much better after.
It was I was going to say, it's like a guilt break. After you broke it, you broke the relationship, then you had regrets. There it is, a regret in the way the breakup happened, or
the breakup was going to happen.
Acted in the So you had to deal with that as far as making the amends on how the break happened is what you're talking about. Yeah.
Right. And, it's kind of, and sometimes we take the easy route, or sometimes we let things build up and just blow up, so.
Yeah, true.
That was, so that was a karma type situation, so.
Right.
So I did reach out to a few people and just kind of, what. And then there were some I didn't reach out to because there was no point in reaching out to them, but I just kind of worked it through myself.
Yeah.
Which the numerology helped me identify that I needed to do that. Does that make sense?
It does. It does make sense. Yeah.
So when I took a look at, the year and it brought up the karma, well, intuition kicked in. I kind of got a little download, like, okay, so this would be a karmic thing that happened in the past, and it just kind of like was working together with my psychic abilities.
Right.
And it was really funny. We were, yes.
Go ahead.
No, tell me what you.
No, you were going to do a story. I want to hear the story.
Oh, Okay.
I want the story first, then I'll ask the question.
Okay. Well, on Facebook, how Facebook is always suggesting people you may know.
Right. Yeah.
And I had just the night before did the whole karma thing and how reading about it and doing the whole, you need to work this out and stuff. And two people from my past showed up as people I might know.
Oh.
And both of those were part of the karmatic thing.
Yeah.
And which is really funny is I had a different Facebook account when I knew them.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to, due to a hacking situation, had to create a new Facebook. And so that one is no longer in use.
Right.
So I have no friends in common with them. There's no reason they should have showed up on like someone you might know feed.
Right. Yeah.
And, and I'm like, the first one, because I'm always nosy. Who might I know? So I'm like going through, and then there was one. I went, oh yeah, that was Got my journal out, wrote the name down. I'm going to have to address that. And then 3 people down was the other one. I'm like, what the heck? Where So I'm like, thanks, Spirit. It was almost like you missed 2. You had these 2 in your list, And so basically, it helped me to identify and correct some fight or flight behavior.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I had wrote down the names that came to me and added those 2, of course, and just kind of, for me, did a personal, what didn't work in that relationship, how did that relationship end, what could have done better, what did I learn from that relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and what were the key factors of that person's personality that did not go with mine.
Right.
And, but I was very open to this journey and to learn, and I learned quite a bit. Did it hurt a little bit? Yeah. But the numerology kind of pushed me into, because it's like, would I have thought of this being a karma year? No, I wouldn't have until I read that. Didn't make, and then it was kind of like, oh, this makes sense because several things have happened this year that could be karma or karma or karmatic,
Right. Yes, definitely.
and you identify them after the fact, like, oh yeah, that was karma. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Isn't that
so
funny how that happens? You don't see it as karma when it's happening, but after it's done, you're like, huh, yep.
yeah, like, oh, okay. Yeah, and there's good karma, there's bad karma. I mean, it doesn't mean that I'm not saying I've had all this bad stuff happen this year. I've had a record number of bad stuff happen this year, but I've also had some good stuff happen this year. So there's been some good karma too.
Mm-hmm.
But so yeah, and it was really funny is after doing this exercise, which Spirit and Numerology pushed me down that road. And I went kicking and screaming because I'm, my master number. But I learned a lot of stuff about me personally and things that I wanted to change. And because I have free will, I'm changing those items.
Right.
So it worked out very well. I'm not going to share them with you.
No.
Personal.
That's right.
But so the numerology really pushed me to discover what I needed to discover, in hand in hand with Spirit. So psychically, it was all working together.
Right. Gotcha.
Because, if you do decide to get an app and you want to dive into numerology, there's a lot of reading.
Yeah.
Because it's breaking things down. You get a description of the number, what that number means, and then it can mean a lot of things. And then it tells you behavior, dark sides, different things. And so you're kind of like, oh, let me check into this and see what this really means. So it's really interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So my generation number and my day of birth number are the same, which makes sense because my birthday is a double digit, the same number.
Mm-hmm.
And the year is double digit, same number. So it made sense.
Right.
Because it's, I just thought that was interesting.
That is
interesting. Now, what'd you want to ask me? You had a question?
Okay, so we're using this app. Is there a way that are there classes or anything to take if you wanted to do this without an app? Is it a study like with astrology is a lifetime, so is tarot is more or less a lifetime learning process, or is this fairly easy to learn and pick up and
well, I think
practice?
Yeah, I mean, of course there's classes. There's classes for everything.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you could take classes and learn everything you need to know to figure out the numbers and what the numbers mean and what the years mean. I mean, because there's so much to it. I mean, when you think about it, you've got a life path, attitude, generation, day of birth, and then you have expression, soul, urge, and personality. Then you have maturity, and then you have the dailies. And then there's actually a love compatible analysis.
Mm-hmm.
So you're taking, so there's so much to learn that you definitely would want to take a class to learn it. To if you don't want to do the app,
Right.
Because there's so much research. I mean, because you have to know what each number means. So not only how do you get the number, you break it down, and then what does that mean?
Right.
So, and then, this particular app, which I thought was really funny, gives you relationship numbers. And the red numbers, the line under the number that's red are the ones you want to stay away from. So 1, 5, and 7, I'm supposed to stay away from.
Mine's just number 5.
I have 3. So I just thought that was really, really interesting. That so if you take a class and you figure out how to do the numerology, you could kind of like, what's your date of birth? What's your name on your birth certificate? Oh, you're a 1. Okay, bye.
Not compatible with me today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just to give you an idea, I do have the breakdown of those numbers. So, as a number 2, I rarely clash with others. Their nature is such that they seek peace and harmony, even at their own cost. They may be problems if they keep things for themselves, because they accumulate discontent until you reach a breaking point. I'm not sure about that. But the combination of number 1 likes to lead. And so as long as I let number 1 lead, then the combination's okay. But this won't pose a problem for them as long as number 1 doesn't exaggerate and isn't rude. I have a big problem that people are rude.
Yeah, you do.
Just like, if you're rude to a server no excuse for rudeness. So I could see why I would not get along with number 1.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Number 2, I would get along with because we're both harmonious and like to keep the peace. Number 3 is, it says the numbers is different, but this could be a good match. Number 3 will bring optimism and joy. Number 4 is a nice match without conflict. Number 2 will be satisfied with down to earth and a disciplined number 4. Number 5 won't result in a harmonious relationship. Number 5 is interesting and amazing at first sight, but later, number 2 will consider them irresponsible, unreliable due to their changing nature. I can see that.
I could see that, yeah.
I can see that. Yeah. Number 6 is a good match. These numbers understand each other well. Number 7 is my other red one. Number 2 will find it hard to connect with or understand serious and introverted number 7. I dated a number 7. One of those pictures that shot up was a number 7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Number 8's a nice match. These numbers are complementary to each other. Number 2 will have no problem keeping up with number 8. And number 9 is neutral connection that requires compromise. There may be an agreement if number 2 accepts the leadership of number 9. I have problems with that. Right?
Yes.
I mean, we can be honest here. You know me.
Yep.
We can be honest here. You know me. So it makes sense. Again, the numerology was making sense for me.
Right.
Because it's like, that would drive me absolutely batty.
Yep.
So the things that they said, no. And what's funny is when I first saw the red, I thought, oh, the red's what I'm compatible with? That's just 3. And then I read it, I'm like, oh, no, you're right. Yeah. Yeah, that won't work.
Yeah, and my numbers are different. Meaning, like, my number 1
Right.
is number 1 will want to do things their own way, which will not make number 4 happy. Because I'm a number 4.
Yeah.
Harmony is possible only if number 4 allows number 1 to take the lead. So, but my
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, and my
but that's true.
Right, exactly, right.
Yeah.
And number 2 is flexible and responsible and will obediently follow number 4. So that's a green one. That's a positive one.
So,
my red, though, is number 5. Number 5 loves freedom, so they will certainly not be pleased with the restrictions number 4 will try to impose on them. So I guess I'm an imposer.
you like things done a certain way, left brain.
Yes.
And
the description of my number 4 as a 4, number 4 gets into conflict with other numbers easily because of their need to organize and arrange everything in their own way. They don't realize that they only make things worse, which is me.
Well, okay.
Well, wouldn't you agree with that?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, just a little bit.
So I just found the whole thing fascinating. And I read by daily horoscopes, and do I live my life following it? Probably should, but I don't. The numerology I lean more towards because it's like, well, darn it, that's pretty darn accurate.
Yes, I could see that.
So numerology, I've always been fascinated with the numbers and the angel numbers. I'm constantly Googling angel numbers, to see, because 333 shows up an awful lot.
Yeah.
And the only 3 in any of my numbers is maturity, is a 3, which I found really interesting because, but angel numbers, and we're going to go into angel numbers in a different episode, but angel numbers were like, oh, but that's a good number. It's an angel number. It's a good number. Like, where's all my 3s at? Where's all my 3s?
Well, that totally means something different then, huh? Which I see a lot of 1s and 2s. So I do have a couple 1s and 2s.
Yep. So
anyway.
So this is the episode of Numerology. Do you have any questions or comments, Kim, or anything you want to add?
Well, when you go to the psychic conventions and such that you've been to, were there ever any numerology people there? Is this something that you can just do if you're going to do them by hand and not use the apps? Is this easy to do as far as giving a reading or whatever at these places and stuff?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, at the psychic fairs, you have everything present, usually, at least the ones I've been to. So there is a numerologist. You do have people that do past life readings. You have all different kinds of psychics. You have Reiki masters doing Reiki, 20-minute Reiki on people. So
Right.
you have a variety of things. So you can kind of sample, I guess, see what you're drawn to. Because it's a 20, these psychic fairs, you're paying for 20 minutes. So obviously in 20 minutes,
Okay.
you're not going to get it. You're not going to get the deep dive, but you're going to get you some things that you need to check into, or a quick reading, So yeah, I just find it interesting. I haven't found it. I just really think it's interesting. And, and numerology transcends different things. I mean, there's biblical numerology. So there's sacred geometry.
Oh, that's part of this. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, there's numerology of the church. I mean, it's just so many different aspects of numerology that you could go, down that rabbit hole. Angel numbers, like I said, it's always been a big thing. And of course, what's one name that's linked to angel numbers that have been defined was Doreen Virtue is one of them. But
Yeah.
And angel numbers are repetitive numbers.
Right.
That you see throughout the day. It could be on mailbox. It could be on TV. It could be the time on the microwave or the time in the car. So that's pretty much a form of numerology.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting, because I was thinking, that could be a way to make a physical connection with someone that does numerology. If you don't want to do the app thing, but you actually feel like you need the physical or personal person to connect with, to read your numbers or whatever.
Right.
I guess that's what you call it, is reading the numbers. I don't know, but I was just curious if that they were there for that reason, because some people want to have that one-on-one connection during their readings, receiving a reading, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So interesting.
Yeah, a one-on-one connection's always good. And what's funny is, we've talked about this before. You can have 4 or 5 psychics in the same room together, and they get different stuff.
Right.
Like, you could have one person who's getting a modern reading. This is, and then the other person's seeing things of the past.
Right. Your past life or something like that too. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of what, the way I look at it is kind of what spirit wants you to see. What this person needs to hear, or what, this is what needs to come through.
Right.
So yeah. So, but numerology is pretty much, there's the standard numbers, but like, look how your number 4 or number 5 was different than my number 5.
Right.
When we were discussing the relationship numbers.
Right.
So part of that does have to also do with you being a number 4, how that's interpreted.
Right.
Versus me being a number 2. And how that's interpreted.
Right. Because I just think some people may not be drawn to the app type situation, and they want that human person to person situation better.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's why I was asking if that's something that's people out there that they may relate better to going to a person instead of depending on an app to get their numbers, I guess you could say. So.
Yeah. And what's funny is I like the app.
Yes.
Because it's easy.
Right. Yes.
It's easy, and I can check it out each day, and not, I don't have to reference a chart.
Right.
So I'm lazy. I'm going to do the app. But if you want to have that deep dive reading, that sounds like it'd be really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, my thing is with readings is if I don't record it, because I have to go back and listen to it again.
Right. Yeah.
Because I miss things or I forget things or I put my spin on it and then go back and go, oh, that's not what they said. Okay.
Yeah. I totally get that. Yeah, that makes sense. Very, very interesting.
All right. So if you have
very interesting.
Yeah, I think numerology is is very interesting field. And you have to really love numbers to get in that. But if that's one way that really amp up your psychic abilities is, I think, with numerology. Because if you're practicing this as a numerologist, you have to be using your intuition.
Oh yeah, right. For the interpretation.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right. So it might be a very interesting field for someone to stumble into.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Definitely.
All right, so I guess this concludes numerology. Kim and I both got into it really good, and I've got some people at work. I'm like, "Well, hey, get this app, check it out." And one of the girls, she's over at her desk when I keep hearing, "Oh my gosh!" She's like, "That's so accurate." "Oh my gosh!" She's reading more and more. She's like, "I can't believe this." I'm like, "I know, it's creepy, isn't it? It's so accurate."
Speaking of numbers, right now it's 11:11 on my computer.
It's not on mine.
Okay.
It's obviously different time zone. I'm 12:11. Right. Yeah, obviously. But yes. There you go.
Ending it on numbers.
Well, now I'm 12. Now I'm 12:12.
There you go.
All right. So thank you guys for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed the numerology. Thank you for coming back.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm sure they definitely enjoyed numerology. I know I did. So.
Oh, good. Well, thank you for listening. And our next episode.
Okay, so on our next episode, we are going to be covering toolless psychics and building psychic confidence. We may discuss some other things as well, but that's what we're going to start our focus on for the next episode is toolless psychics and building the psychic confidence.
Yes. Toolless psychic is kind of an interesting thought process, I think. Because we've talked about all these tools to help you build your psychic abilities, and then we're going totally toolless. So
yeah,
should be interesting.
Yeah, I'm interested in this one. To see where this goes.
And building your confidence. Obviously, these tools that we've discussed leading up to this is to help build your confidence. Yeah,
definitely.
But only if the tool is resonating with you. So if you've picked a tool out of these toolboxes, then you really need to practice it daily. I was yesterday. I thought, I'm gonna I did it. I used every single oracle card, every deck I had. I did a separate reading for each of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. Because usually I stick with one. So I got out my Native American oracle cards and went ahead and did a reading with those. And it was interesting. And then I just, did all the different ones. That was kind of fun.
Wow. Cool. Can't wait to hear about that on the next episode.
Well, maybe you will. Maybe you will.
I'll bring it up. I will bring it up.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And bye.
Bye. May your light shine bright.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast, Psychic Bent. If you enjoyed Psychic Bent, please like, follow, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. We can be reached on Facebook at Psychic Bent Podcast. Our email address is psychicbent1@gmail.com. May your light shine bright.